Whataburger, what's next coming up, of course.
Bill Schoening wrapping up as the Spurs lose to the Hawks tonight. We'll listen in.
The final score, Atlanta with the victory over the Spurs. Let's take a look at some final numbers, and we'll also take a look at
Bill Schoening with some statistics here from tonight's game.
From Atlanta, they shot 51% from the field, 12 of 26 beyond the arc, and they got to the free throw line a lot more than the Spurs did. 22 of 24 from the line for Atlanta. The Spurs were just 8 of 10 in that department. Rebounds were even at 44. 26 assists on 45 made field goals for Atlanta. They did a good job taking care of the ball. Only 11 turnovers. And again, they outscored the Spurs 21-8 in points off turnovers. The Spurs shot 43% from the field, 36% beyond the arc, 12 of 33. And they only got to the line, as we mentioned, 10 times. The Spurs did have those 44 rebounds and 27 assists on 43 made field goals. All right, let's take a look at individual scoring. First of all, for the visitors from Atlanta, 31 points for Trae Young.
David, welcome in. Jason Paniagua, welcome.
Points, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds for Trae Young. He played 30 minutes tonight, was 14 of 22 overall from the field. All 5 of their starters in double figures. 18 points for Buck.
Taro Kotani from Tokyo.
4 threes and 6 attempts tonight. 15 points for John Collins, who had 5 rebounds. 10 points for Kevin Huerter, who had a couple of threes tonight. And 11 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 steals for Clint Capella, who was 5 of 10 from the field, as he has a double-double with the 11 points and 13 rebounds. He also blocked.
Tough loss tonight, Taro.
They had 3 players in double figures. Lou Williams with 12, Cam Reddish with 12, and 10 for Danilo Gallinari. Lon Wright had a bucket, a single point for Lou Williams, for Timothy Luwalu-Cabarro, rather, and Gorgie Cheng had 2.
David, we might do that at this rate.
14 minutes. He was
Christian Picardo, welcome in.
Bench, as did Cam Reddish. All right, the final score, 124-106. The Atlanta Hawks with a victory over the San Antonio Spurs. And again, next up for the Spurs.
I'm not big on Drew Timme, by the way, David.
That game will tip at 7:30. We will be in the air at 7 o'clock with Spurs Radio Game Night. Atlanta, 124. San Antonio, 106. A crowd of 13,161 on hand here at the AT&T Center this evening. Spurs Radio continues in a moment.
All right, that was Bill Schoening wrapping things up. Luisa Alanis, welcome in. Brian Zuniga, welcome. Yeah, I don't think Drew Timme will be the number 1 pick, but I could be wrong. Okay. So am I doing 2? Okay. Jason Salinas, welcome. Hey, Doris. Doris, a big Spurs fan, both San Antonio Spurs and Austin Spurs. Ben Tura says, #play Primo. He is getting some time in Austin, and that's part of the process. James Hernandez says Cowboys or Raiders tomorrow. I think Cowboys, but I think that 7.5 point spread, Jason, or James Hernandez, excuse me, that 7.5 point spread's a little big. I think, 2 of the last 3 games the Cowboys have lost to the Broncos and the Chiefs. I know they annihilated Atlanta, but I think the Raiders are going to be tough tomorrow, but I think the Cowboys are going to win. All right, I got to do a couple of segments on the radio, and then we will get to Spurs React. Joanne Hernandez, welcome. Fonzie J. Rodriguez, welcome. And as Fonzie says, I should say this to everybody, and I'll say it a couple times. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. David says, I think the Austin Spurs can beat the San Antonio Spurs. Come on, David. Here we go. From the Spurs Net Center, I'm Chris Duel. Final score tonight from the AT&T Center. The Atlanta Hawks defeat the San Antonio Spurs 124-106. Programming note on the flagship station Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI and streaming live video on 1200 WOAI's Facebook page and Twitter page. Our Spurs React is coming up. Michael Bartlett and I will react with you to tonight's tough Spurs loss. Let's take a look at scores from around the NBA. In overtime, Lakers beat the Pacers 124-116. Nets beat the Celtics 123-104. It was the Rockets winning at home over the Bulls 118-113. Raptors over the Grizzlies 126-113. Bucks beat the Pistons 114-93. Timberwolves over the Heat 113-101. Pelicans beat the Wizards 127-102. It was the Jazz over the Thunder 110-104. Suns beat the Cavs 120-115. Hornets beat the Magic 106-99. 2 games out on the West Coast that are underway right now. 7:45 to go before halftime in San Francisco, and the Philadelphia 76ers lead the Golden State Warriors 46-30. And in Sacramento, 4:03 before halftime there, and the Portland Trail Blazers lead the Sacramento Kings 56-53. Once again, the final score from the AT&T Center: the Atlanta Hawks defeat the San Antonio Spurs 124-106. Spurs Radio continues in a moment. Okay. Insurance, proud sponsor of your San Antonio. All right, David, Ben. Ben says hashtag farewell season for Pop. I don't know. I know there was an ESPN report. That was speculation. I mean, we don't know. It's possible, but we don't know. Luisa Alanis. Thank you, Luisa. Happy Thanksgiving to you, to everybody in here. Chris Moreno says it's always a tough Spurs loss. Yeah, it ain't fun. And, you know, as Spurs fans, we're a little spoiled going through the Tim Duncan era and the David Robinson era. Manu, Tony, even a guy named Kawhi was there for a championship. Patty Mills. Lucinda Sullivan. Happy Thanksgiving, Lucinda Sullivan. Lucinda Sullivan, like Luisa Alanis and some others in here, also joined me in the morning on my show over on Ticket 760. Good to see you, Luisa. Leland Bruce. Next up for the 4-13 Spurs, Boston Friday night. That's correct. And that won't be easy, although Boston, I think, lost tonight, didn't they? I just gave the score. Yeah, they lose at home to the Brooklyn Nets, 123-106. Wow, David, man, you're a little salty tonight. David saying that Michael Bartlett's Longhorns hat should be burned. No heart on that team. Yeah, Longhorns with a 6-game losing streak. Spurs with a 6-game losing streak. So we're kind of even there. Joanne Hernandez says, for some reason, when players leave the Spurs, they play way better on other teams. That's so sad on the Spurs' behalf. Well, because the Spurs, they improve. The Spurs have great player development people. Jason Paniagua on YouTube. Oh, we're back. Here we go. From the Spurs Net Center, I'm Chris Duel. Once again, final score from Atlanta. The Atlanta Hawks defeat the San Antonio Spurs 124-106. Coming up on the Spurs Radio Network on 1200 WOAI, the flagship station, our Spurs React. Lots of people already joining us on Facebook Live and Twitter on the live video feed. And, of course, we'll go over the airwaves on 1200 WOAI. After a quick wrap-up from Bill Schoening at the AT&T Center, where the Spurs fall to the Atlanta Hawks 124-106. Spurs Radio continues in a moment. At AT&T, all right. New and existing customers get our best. Chris says tank the season. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office. Jason says, I love the team, but most of these guys would be bench players on better teams. Well, Devin Vassell, who got banged up tonight, is outstanding. DeJounte Murray is outstanding. Jakob Poeltl was a lottery pick. A lot of people forget that, and he plays well. Trey Jones has a lot of upside. Keldon Johnson is a potential star in this league. So there's some good young talent on this team. Gobble, gobble, Clint Proctor. Frank Ramirez, welcome. Tank the season. Come on, Chris. John, ESPN is not reporting that. That's speculation. That's an opinion piece. I saw that today, John. Welcome in, John Williams from. See, the way you write that, John, you write it that ESPN is reporting that Pop will retire. No. One of their opinion people is speculating that. That's not a report. Joanne says the Spurs are just no bueno once again this season. Oh, you know, I keep forgetting I can bring your comments on the screen like that. See, Joanne, there you are on the screen. Now, James, that's a great question. Here's Bill.
Atlanta over San Antonio. The senior director of broadcasting is Mike Kikarola. Liz Cadonas handles commercial traffic along with Leah Resendez. Broadcast engineer Sam Walters. Next game for the Spurs coming up on Friday night. They'll take on the Boston Celtics. That game will tip at 7:30. We'll be in the air at 7 o'clock with Spurs Radio Game Night. As always, for all things Spurs, follow us on Twitter, Spurs.com, or the Spurs app. Our studio producer is Mike Bartlett. Our studio host is Chris Duel. We thank you for joining us this evening. Again, the final score, Hawks over the Spurs, 124-106. This has been a presentation of Spurs Sports and Entertainment and the National Basketball Association. All rights reserved. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Spurs Radio Game Night Rewind.
Here comes Spurs
kind of
React.
screwed over affiliates. Can you do the ID live when we get into React?
Absolutely.
I didn't even realize the time I screwed affiliates.
We're good.
I like to get the ID the way they don't have to worry about it.
More buzzer beaters.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that once we get it. And 7 to 10.
Okay. At 10, no later than 10:10. Yeah, no later than 10:10.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Keep an eye on that. Don't go long-winded on me here, man.
Live visit NBA.com/League Pass for details. With Orchard,
I'm not too much into going long-winded. Otherwise, I might start ranting about my day.
Michael Bartlett might be a little salty tonight.
Losing out to another buyer. You know, there's an easier way to do this. There is. It starts with
There you go, Leland Bruce.
at orchard.com.
Well, and here's the deal. I think the Spurs have a lot of talent, and they've been in a lot of these games. Not tonight, but the other night against the hottest team in the league, the Phoenix Suns, who have won 13 in a row. Okay, here we come. But maybe I'll get to it here. Here we come.
on the home of the Spurs, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI.
Tough loss tonight for the San Antonio Spurs. The Atlanta Hawks win in San Antonio at the AT&T Center. They beat the Spurs 124-106. Welcome in. It's Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. I'm Chris Duel along with Michael Bartlett. Before we begin our Spurs React proceedings, as we approach the 10 o'clock hour in the 10 Central Time Zone, right now, let's pause 10 seconds to allow stations to identify themselves along the Spurs radio network.
This is News
I
Radio.
meant for you just to do it live because we're not network anymore.
Antonio.
That's okay.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Okay.
It still worked. All right, once again, the final score. The Atlanta Hawks defeat the San Antonio Spurs 124-106. Tough loss for the Spurs. They have now lost 6 in a row. They are 4-13 on the season. Up next for the San Antonio Spurs will be the Boston Celtics. That'll be on Friday night, 7:30 tip. So Spurs radio game night with the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, will be at 7 o'clock on Friday night. First and foremost, we want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. We certainly wish we went into this Thanksgiving holiday tomorrow with a Spurs victory and snapping the losing streak, but it didn't happen tonight. And hopefully this Spurs team will play better on Friday. While this one was out of hand, certainly in the third and the fourth quarter, Spurs came back and cut it to 13 a couple of times. Looked like they were going to make it interesting. You know, just 2 nights ago, the Spurs played the team that is the hottest team in the NBA right now, the Phoenix Suns, who have won 13 in a row. And they've won 14 in a row, by the way, tonight. They went on and won again tonight. So the Spurs were right in that one in the final minute, down 3 in the final minute with an opportunity. But this one gets away from the Spurs. This one was lopsided, and we'll talk about it now. Michael Bartlett joining me. I'm Chris Duel. We'll go to the phone lines, 210-737-1200. 210-737-1200 if you're in the San Antonio area. If you're outside San Antonio, we got an 800 number. We still pay for the call wherever you are. 800-383-WOAI. That's 800-383-9624. Let's grab some phone calls, then we'll hear from Michael Bartlett. Let's start with Veronica. Veronica, a regular caller to Spurs React. Veronica, you're on Spurs React on 1200 WOAI. Go ahead, Veronica.
Hi, Christian. Happy Thanksgiving. And Michael is doing okay with that little tractor he had today and needs any help, tell him he can reach out. The game tonight was, up until the last second of the first quarter, we had the lead the whole first quarter. And then after that, kind of went downhill from there. It was nice to see Londell get a couple minutes. And Trey Jones, I think, was doing a really good job. Nice to see that Derek White is scoring again. I just think we need to get some kind of rhythm underneath the basket for offensive and defensive rebounds, because I think that's what really hurt us. But go Spurs go. Love you guys anyway. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Veronica. We love your calls, and a tough night tonight for Spurs fans, but her final sign-off there on that phone call, go Spurs go. I love loyal Spurs fans who understand when we're going through kind of some bumpy patches in the road. These are still our Spurs, man, and they will find a way, and they're gonna pull out of this losing streak maybe as early as Friday night against the Boston Celtics at the AT&T Center. Hawks beat the Spurs 124-106. Back to the phone lines, and Caesar, thank you for waiting. You're on Spurs React on 1200 WOAI. Go ahead, Caesar.
Okay, well, I don't know about this team. Is there any way they can just send someone to the D League and bring some of these guys from the D League back over here and see if they can, produce a win here? There's they need a lot of practice, a lot of shooting practice, man. You just can't be missing shots like that.
Yeah, Caesar, thanks for the call. And the Spurs have a process, and it works very, very well using the G League. And I know a lot of people want Josh Primo, the 18-year-old rookie, to be playing with the big team, the Spurs, but he's getting a lot of minutes and he's playing well with the Austin Spurs. And the Spurs utilize their G League team, I think, better than anybody else in the NBA or in the G League. So some of these guys, when they're ready, they will play. I think Spurs fans who second-guess Pop are not really in touch with reality. Let's go back to the phone lines and let's grab Chris's call. Chris, you are on Spurs React on 1200 WOAI. Welcome, Chris.
I love y'all's show. Y'all are the best in the West, East, North, and South. Happy Thanksgiving. Go Spurs, go. But, guys, I saw Lonnie Smith hang his head lower than a snail in a wheel rut. And tonight, Forbes was on. He needs to do that every night. And then Popovich don't even want to get after the guys. I don't know if he's afraid of hurting feelings. But I remember he would ride Tony Parker's, you know what? It made Tony Parker want to cry. And he's not doing that. It's like Popovich's like, oh, well, we'll just let it go. And then, I don't know, the switching, we left Capella wide open on switches, and you had Johnson. I mean, it just looks like D-League. It looks like D-League. Like, I used to work at Parks Rec. It looks like when I let the guys play in full court. Grown men out there, there's no continuity. There's no consistency. No talking on the switch. I love the Spurs, man. Go Spurs, go. Got season tickets, 103, section 103. I'm right there yelling my butt off. But I don't know, man. Something's not looking right. It looks like Becky's going to start next year. I think she's really getting ready to move in. And Popovich, I think he's just riding it out. What do y'all think?
All right, Chris, I appreciate the call, and I love your passion. I love that you go to the games in section 103. Thanks for the call. Again, Chris, clearly you're a Spurs fan. You're just like a lot of Spurs fans. You're frustrated right now. But to assume that Pop is dogging it and Pop is not riding players like he used to, Pop is a master head coach. He's a Hall of Fame head coach, and he knows that every player needs to be handled differently. All the great head coaches in any sport know that, and they operate with that. And again, I just think those of us who second guess Coach Greg Popovich are a little out of touch with reality. He is a great coach. He was the Olympic coach this year, and I think he is as great a coach today as he was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago. He's Gregory Charles Popovich. And in fact, you factor in small market and you remove people like Red Auerbach and you remove people like Phil Jackson and some of these other coaches, I think the case can be made that Greg Popovich is the greatest coach in NBA history, what he's been able to do here in San Antonio. Let's check in with Michael Bartlett, who makes the entire broadcast go from beginning to end. Michael's had a rough day today. He might be a little salty and testy today. Michael Bartlett, Spurs lose to Atlanta 124-106. How you feeling about this team?
It is what it is. It's a young team. You're going to have to deal with the bumps and bruises. For Chris calling in and thinking that maybe they're dogging it or Pop's changing the ways that he's coaching. I mean, Pop is probably changing the way that he's coaching, but you can't compare the team that he has now to back when Tony was here. Yes, he treated Tony. I mean, he said on record, Tony has said on record that he went after him. But also what you had with those young teams, well, not those young teams, but with those teams that Pop had back then with Tony, you had veteran leadership. The only quote-unquote veteran on this team, realistically, is Thaddeus Young at, 32, 33 years old? Everybody else, it's in their mid to young 20s. It's an average of 26. So it's a completely different perspective that Pop has to get through. And for some callers and people thinking that, oh, well, let's just bring, as you said, a lot of people are high on Josh Primo. I mean, let's pump the brakes. Let's let Josh Primo at least get knowledge of the system. We all know that it usually takes a player about 2 years to completely get and understand the Spurs system. So just thinking that bringing Josh Primo up or Joe Wieskamp is going to solve the problems, those are two players that you bring up. Okay, who are you going to take minutes away from? Are you going to take minutes away from Bryn Forbes up until tonight? I mean, you could argue that, but besides Bryn, nobody else from the bench stepped up. I mean, granted, Devin Vassell went out in the third quarter. Hopefully he'll be okay come Friday. But Lonnie Walker, another poor performance tonight, only 5 points. Another bad shooting night. I think Veronica meant Bryn shot great tonight, not Derek, because Derek was 3 of 12 for 7 points. Derek didn't have a good night. DeJounte looked great. Almost another triple-double. Granted, DeJounte's going to say that doesn't matter. It's all about the win. That's what this team is going to be. They're going to be ups and downs. They're going to have to learn how to battle through these lulls. We talked about it the other night. They have to be a complete team. And for only 4 games this season where they've gotten the wins, they have not been a complete team. Everybody has to step up tonight, or everybody has to step up every night. Otherwise, they're more than likely are not going to win. Everybody has to be balanced. And it's just, unfortunately, it wasn't. Atlanta had, 8 players in double figures, all of them 10 plus points. Trae Young does what he does, 31. The free throw shooting, you get outscored by 14. That's a big, eyesore and just, bad shooting tonight for a night when they actually shot decent from 3. They just, right now, can't put it together. Hopefully they will, because, as Spurs fans, we don't like losing. We're not used to it. But this is what shows true character for players. You see who's still hungry every night, who plays, and who's just kind of here. And Pop will figure that out. And hopefully, come Friday, we can turn this around and start getting back in the W column. Happy Thanksgiving, early Thanksgiving, by the way, to all of our listeners, home and far away. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
And as Michael Bartlett says, far away, I notice he joins us a lot on Spurs React. We love having him. Taro Kotani, far away, the greatest international Spurs fan, joining us on the live video feed from Tokyo, Japan, where he lives, and he has traveled 16 times to San Antonio to see the Spurs. It would have been more than that if it wasn't for COVID-19 and 2020 into 2021. So he'll be coming back again soon. I agree with Michael Bartlett. I second that emotion. A happy Thanksgiving to everyone who can hear our voices here tonight. Count your blessings, enjoy your family and friends, and then let's reconvene on Friday as the Spurs take on the Boston Celtics at the AT&T Center. That's a 7:30 start. So Spurs radio game night with the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, will be 7 o'clock on Friday night. Big shout out to statistician Walter Stoops, who was had a knee issue tonight, couldn't make it in. Guy almost never, ever misses. He's an Iron Man. So Walter Stoops, if you're listening out there, feel better, my brother. We love you. Big shout out to Sam Walters, who is the on-site engineer for Bill Schoening. Bill Schoening, nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as Bill. Bill Schoening is the best. I think Carly Simon really needs to write that song about Bill Schoening. For those gentlemen and for Michael Bartlett, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving. The Spurs will be back on Friday night to take down the Boston Celtics at the AT&T Center. For those gentlemen, I'm Chris Duel. Once again, the final score tonight from the AT&T Center on Thanksgiving Eve. The Atlanta Hawks defeat the San Antonio Spurs 124-106. This has been Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. Nice gobble. Nice gobble on the way out. Michael Bartlett with the gobble on the way out. All right, y'all. That was great. All right, y'all. Happy Thanksgiving. We will see you here after the Celtics game on Friday night. Be safe out there. Enjoy Thanksgiving responsibly. Later on, go Spurs, go. There will be another night.